How's it going? So don't ask me what's up with this. Guess it's kind of dusty in here or something. I don't know. Anyway, I went ahead and put these batteries in and zip tied them down because the camera just wouldn't do justice. But I'm done now. Actually, I was done last night. And I plugged it in and used it for a while. And then it ran out of power. And I'm charging it with my voltage boost converter. It's a little bit inefficient, but not bad. It's taking 133 watts and giving 123 watts. And this thing, final output is 4.8 amps. Okay, which isn't bad. That's about the same, you know. This is taking a little bit here. This is also pulling, you know, some power for my fans. That thing's not taking much. Just a little bit. Relay's probably taking more than everything else. It's a little bit warm, in fact. So, let's see. Whoop. That's not good. There we go. .3. So the charge controller's reading a little bit more, a little bit less resistance than these are. That's okay. Might be because they're warm. I don't know. Not really. Guess they're calibrated a little differently. Oh well, close enough. But right here, when this gets to 0, it should be charged. 338 more watts to go. So about 3 hours at the rate it's going. I could make it go faster, but that just stresses this thing out, you know. It's just barely warm. That's the way I like to do it. If I plug this into solar power, I can do approximately 10 amps of current, so it'd be about the same. No, I mean, this is, yeah, it's 5 amps. I can be double it, so it'd be 230 watts it can do. So, off of solar charging. I'm just doing it this way right now because this is convenient. I can leave it right here and charge it up. Put my cigarette lighter, adapt it to that, charge it in the car. So it's not a bad thing. It works. And it keeps itself cool automatically. And also it balances out current so that it doesn't overdraw the source of where it's getting power from, which is from there. I plugged it into this one, put it on that one. But it's working pretty good. I just gotta get her charged up and I can use it tonight so I can get my other batteries charged up anymore. I've been messing around with wiring outside and rearranging my solar panels to try and get them to work better. And it's doing okay. I still need more panels hooked up. But as far as the charge controller things go, I got to be kind of careful because these ones are kind of, you know, they work good. They work. but they don't have very good heat sinks on them. So I don't really want to push them past 12 amps. They get hot at 12. And I'm sure they get blazing hot anything near 20 like they're supposed to supposedly handle. Yeah, right. Hold the phone, you know, really, because that ain't gonna work. I promise you. Where did I hear that hold the phone from the other day? Somebody else. Caught my attention pretty good. Yeah, really, it ain't gonna work. If it's gonna get really hot, it's gonna burn up. That's it. So I'm gonna be careful and spread out the flow, if you will, with the other panels that I'm gonna hook up. I'm doing other things out there with them right now and trying different things. And when I'm all done, I'll make a video of what I've done. Eventually. Won't be today. Probably won't be next week. You never know, though. This is what got me intrigued. And I don't know. I mean, you know, eBay sellers will do what they do. I think I'm going to make a prop rod. Yeah. And then the strings can be there just in case it goes up. But, you know, these lighter batteries, it's just no bueno. It doesn't do too. I had to cinch these up some and make it so it don't open too far and tip it over. But yeah, gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Anyway, this was at 22.3 or so. Let me see, it's 26.8 compared to 26.4. So about 4 off. This was at 22.3. And then the things, one of the BMS and the battery, one of these two shut down. I think this one. And the whole thing just went bloop, off it went. So I experimented and figured out what was going on. And then I just said, well, that means that that's about 11 volts for a battery. Or one was lower than the other. Because it's supposed to go down to 10. And that would have been 20 volts. Or lower than this power inverter can go, which is 21. Didn't even get to that. Look at that hair on there. So, hopefully the charging will go rather well today and get all done. And then I can take this center deal off and check each one separately and make sure they're the same after charging. Because I really, you know, that's after it's, you know, put this back on and also draw them a little bit, you know, because I didn't do that. One could have been showing a ghost kind of positive voltage rather than what it's true. So as soon as some power was put on it, it might have dried it down a few notches or so. And the other one could have stayed the same, because that's partially because one probably is unbalanced. One unbalanced cell in this battery compared to this one being all balanced. That's all it takes to mess it up. So I'm going to have to let it charge at its maximum charge for a while. And the charge curve on this will be a little bit rough on them, but they do have the battery management system in them, so it should be okay as long as I don't go over 20 amps when they're at their max highest voltage. And this charge controller won't do that anyway. Should be fine. But you do got to be careful with lithium of any type, because overcharging them practically destroys them quick. So And that's with too much power when they're at their maximum, you know, really high up there, getting pretty full, you know. You don't want to be packing a bunch in there at that time. It ruins them. They can't handle it. So anyway, yeah. 10 amps from this at max should be okay. And that's all the solar power I'm going to put on in my Jeep anyway when I go anywhere, so what the heck. I'm going to get me one of them flexible solar panels for it. I have got a foldable one, and it sucks for taking places. It's heavy. Oh man. And I don't want to have to pack that thing everywhere. When I can just throw out this kind of flimsy thing, you know. They work pretty good, I guess. They don't last very long though. That's the thing about that. Solar panels are solid for a good reason, but when you go make them flexible, they tend to break down. Yeah, go figure. One of the reasons I wanted to have this so that it could sit open is to use these once in a while. There are some on the side of this thing over here. If I don't want to open the lid and want to have the inverter turned on. But yeah, pretty convenient. Very convenient, I should say. This piece here is a part of a relay I bought that was originally used in this, and before I got this one, it was dead out of the box basically, but it was a no return item. It worked for a day, I think, and then it just, that's it. Wouldn't start again, wouldn't click over. So last night I just drilled out a little rivet that holds the coil on there, and then drilled out the hole, and then made another hole here on the other side of it. Or this was the side that the coil was stuck on. This had the little thing notched on there that goes up and down with a spring on the back that held it on there. And then of course on this end it had the other deal, you know, where, yeah, I don't know where I put it, or else I'd show you. I saved those little pieces in case I want them for something else, you know, but yeah, instead of flattening a copper pipe and bending it and drilling holes, I just figured this will work great. It's probably good for 30 amps, I suppose. Being so small like it is, it's not very far, you know. Just like the fuse there for 50 amps. There's not much in there. Oop. You know, that little tiny strip there, that can flow 50 amps all right. But you spread that out any longer than that, it won't work. Anyway. Theoretically, the battery should at least double what I had before. Maybe quadruple if I drain them all the way down where the thing shuts down, but I'm thinking at least double to be safe. So, oh man, this is hard to see on the camera, isn't it? Come on. I don't know if that's changed or not, or if that's different. But anyway, what's it hitting on? What did I do? Maybe on that? probably on that. Well, it found something to bump on here. I don't know. Weird. Anyway, I'll figure it out. It might just be... Oh, that's not it. One of these maybe. I don't know. It shuts when it shuts, alright. This ain't doing it. Strange. I don't know. I'll figure it out. 311 to go. Yeah, it's pretty accurate. So is the one over here on this, which it'll show what I've drawn out of it last night. 432 is what I got out of the power inverter. Definitely not the full 1400 watts. It should have been. But who knows? After all, it was Chinese buy. Chinese buys are always risky. You never know what you're going to get. I don't know. Thought Chinese were more exemplary about doing things, but we'll see, I guess, as time goes on. Because these batteries better perform. They were just a little bit less expensive than my 120 amp hour batteries that I've got. And these are 60 amp hour batteries. Yeah. But the size, that's what I needed. Only had to make a small change to the bars down at the bottom here. So that, you know, these are just like a millimeter wider than your average riding mower battery. Whoop, sorry about that. So you can see there's just a little bit of space there. Well, there was a lot more before. Or a little bit more before. Maybe. I think there was. But yeah. I had to move them just a little bit and then make new holes. All that fun stuff. It's working though. So, yeah. Might be wondering about the relay. I don't know. It's a really, really good relay. So, that's something you might want to get for your own project if you're going to ever do something. Notice it says 160 amps. That's more than it'll ever be required from it, which is the whole idea. Same goes for this one. I believe that's a 30 amp relay. I don't know. Does it tell me? Come on, focus. Doesn't look like it. I'm gonna guess that it's good for 15 amps anyway. And the fans might take half an amp each, you know? Funny. Of course, the relay is powering this and that too, so that's on from the battery. When the relay is not powered from the input, see, then there's no power going to the fans. But this has got power in case it gets too warm. And I've stuck that probe somewhere along up in here somewhere. I don't know. It's around here somewhere. And that'll flip the fans on with its own power wire to the fans. And, down there I've got a fuse box to protect the little items in here. And that power meter, and also no, the other power meter, this one, I'm not sure. Let me see. It's hard to say. I may have run it through also. But being where it's on power inverter, if that's what's powering that one, that's got those plug-in, whatchamacallit, to shut off if it, what do they call them things in the plugs nowadays? The safety button that says test. Yeah, that thing's as sensitive as a woman when she's on her time of the month. Yep. It'll just switch right over. Pretty amazing. I use this bigger wire, so if I want to have something that takes a big draw at first, and it won't drop voltage real heavily. Other than that, this is good for probably 2500 watt inverter. Abouts or so. Yeah, 2500 watts or so. Anyway, see why this won't shut, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. Might be because it's sitting funny on this table. A little bit weird off to the edge there. Kind of might be hanging. I don't know. I'm not sure if there's any other compliments I want to say about this other than the cost. Well, this was about $25. $8, $60, I think. I don't remember. It was quite expensive, but it was over 50. These are like $15 each. These little meters. The wiring I already had. The terminals I bought a long time ago. I still have some, so that's not really a considered cost. These little gadgets are probably $10 each, give or take a few bucks. And the fans were $8 a piece. They're high efficiency fans that, like, they bring in as much air as your 1-inch wide fan does. So one's pulling air in and one's pushing air out. Or pulling air out. The power inverter I got on a clearance for $125. So that was a steal. Brand new in the box with the foil over it and all the nice little static packaging. I was thrilled. And it's a pure sine wave. The plug thing there, I think that was $20. Get back up there, you damn thing. There we go. Okay. Had to move two things at once. Anything else here? The aluminum is $2 a foot, I think. No, yeah, $2 a foot. So there's that. And of course some screws, which I already had. This little thing, I think it was $6 or $8 for the fuse. And the little block deal, I don't remember. But it probably wasn't more than $10, I don't think. It holds like 8 fuses for 8 different things. Probably using like 3 or 4 of them, but yeah. Always have something you can expand. Now, granted, that location is very inconvenient. I agree. But you know what? You can get your fingers down there and pop that open and get a pair of pliers down there to pull out a fuse. It is possible. A long pair of needle nose. Yep, it'll do it. Not easy though. I just tested it out, you know, under normal circumstances. It's not easy. And now that this is in the way more, I'm not sure if I can even do it now. Might have to pull the batteries. I guess I could just unhook this to do it. Yeah. Then it's easy anyway. You actually can put your whole hand down there almost and almost get to the fuses actually. But anyway, it looks more difficult than it really is. With the pliers it's so simple, but if you're not careful and it's powered up, you might burn one of the fuses out, shorten it on something. I don't know. Best to find out what's shorted out anyway before putting a new fuse in, right? I did have these set a little lower so those fans last longer. I think that's easier on. They don't need to be pulling the whole kit and caboodle of high RPMs, you know. Just a little trot is all they need. That's all the air this needs, really. And when it's open, it's even good enough this don't get very hot. I think it would if it was closed down with no airflow. And the same goes for this. It's got a heat sink on the back, but even now, it's almost hot enough to burn my fingers. Woo! Woo, baby! Youch! So, this is a 10 ampere. And, yeah, well, it's pushing half of that, as you can see, 5.3. So, imagine how cooking hot it gets when it's going, it's at its maximum. Wow. Just amazing. But you know, that heat is going somewhere, of course. Out the little space at the top here. When the air's flowing around, it's probably doing little circles in here, you know, as it moves over to the other fan. So I imagine it sucks the heat away from that heat sink on the back. So far, this thing has been okay. But, yeah. I like the fact that it has matching colors here. That makes it kind of interesting for me. Or anyone else who looks at it, I suppose. But, you know, add all them costs up and then the batteries. You know, you might have to look back in the video and do the mathematics if you like, but it's not why I'm doing this. I just want you to know it's probably more expensive than buying something of equalness. Except for it won't have the huge wires in it. You know, they're probably not really needed, but I like to overdo stuff sometimes. That's what I did. So, you know, with these batteries at $105 each, $217 I think altogether. Plus all of that is pretty spendy. And then replacing the old batteries, which were about $80 together. They were $40 each, you know. Yep. But I made that money back while using them, I suppose. They paid for themselves. So there is that. And things like this connectors, you know, that I might have bought if I had to. You know, they're being used, so they're kind of paying for themselves. So it's all in the cost. But to buy one is going to cost you somewhat less money. A couple $100 less, maybe. Alright, I'll let you guys go. I gotta rest my back. Been sitting forward in this chair for too long. Don't want to do that too long for my sake. I'll talk to you guys later. Any questions or comments, I'll be ready to get back at you as soon as possible. Alright, talk to you later. Bye.